All right, so I may have left a few things out in the introduction. So first off, I want to thank you for bearing with us. There is a lot that we're learning with this online, and so I definitely appreciate all of your patients who are participating in this online course. But I have a little second intro before you begin the online course, or you could call it Intro the Sequel if you like movies. So when you begin to look at the video player, and that's what you're watching me on right now, and you'll see at the top right there's these tabs. There's the Introduction tab. That is what opens first when you go on to the video page at ProEd. The next tab to the right of that is Part 1. And Part 1 covers chapters 1 through 5 in the book, the main textbook, in this book right here. Once you finish chapters 1 through 5, then you'll take the quiz on the quiz page for Part 1. There's 100 questions, and you'll go through that. Okay? It's very important that you do the quiz. The quiz is not going to be graded, only the final exam is, but it's really a good study tool as well. So take the quiz, you need to take it, and then once you finish Part 1, all the videos in Part 1, then you'll go on to Part 2. And Part 2 has taken chapters 6 through 12 in the book. Chapters 6 through 12 in the book are in Part 2. And then once you complete that, you'll go through the same process. You'll take the quiz that is included in that, or that is on the quiz page. There's 100 more questions, or 100 questions for Part 2 quiz. Once you complete that, then you go to Part 3. I know you probably would have guessed that already, but there's a couple things about Part 3 that I want to point out. You may have had some frustration with you. You've already started on it, and now you're coming back to the intro. So with Part 3, number 1, it does go out through the rest of the book. It's chapters 13 through, not 21 though, it's through chapter 19. And we kick out chapter 18. So it's chapters 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, which is really a lot of the math, or introduces math, and then 19. Okay? And 19 is on fair housing. But chapters 18, 20, and 21, we don't talk about in this book. Now, it's still required reading, and I still want you to follow through with that part. But for the most part, we're going to talk about those in class, so it's really a non-issue. And so we only covered those chapters, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 19. When you complete that, you'll take the 100-question test for Part 3 on the quiz page, and then I want you to do the math. Now, you can do the math at any time throughout this, because when we do Part 2, we talk about closing in Chapter 12, the closing and settlement statements, and there's math in that math and settlement tab for that. When we get to Chapter 17 in particular, and even 16, there's math, and there's math in that math tab, math and settlement tab. And if you're not aware of that, if you're not familiar with that phrase tab that I'm referring to, again, when you open up the videos for ProEd and you start viewing these, you'll see at the top you're viewing me talking to you right now out of the Introduction tab. To the right of that is Part 1. To the right of that is Part 2, Part 3, and then Math and Settlement. So Math and Settlement tab is what I want you to click, and then you'll see all of the math that goes with that, and settlement. And so make sure you complete every single video, whether it's in the Math and Settlement videos or Part 1, 2, and 3, and especially the introduction, because not that this is really testable material, but it's going to help you through this course. Make sure that you don't freak out when you don't see the videos for chapters 18, 20, and 21, because again, they're not part of this course or the online course. And then once you finish the entire course, finish all 3 exams, you'll notice on the quiz page there is a final exam. At this point, it's 150 questions. You'll have 4 hours to finish it. It is timed, and you have to complete it within the time and get an 80%. Well, I guess if you don't complete it, you'll just get those questions wrong that you didn't get answered, and you'll still get a score. You have to get at least 80% before you come to class that first day. Or, I should say, you have to get at least an 80% before you get credit for that online course. So, that's how that works. Again, that's the only test out of the 4, the Quiz 1, Quiz 2, and Quiz 3 and final, that is actually graded, or you're required to get a passing grade on. The other 3, you are not. When you come the first day, what I want you to bring with you is your 3 books that you've already received, your main textbook, which you're required to read, and then there's a homework packet that you were given with this. I want you to complete the homework packet and bring that. That's part of the course. So this is what you'll bring the first day. You'll bring the 3-ring binder that you were issued as well. Either you got it in the mail or you picked it up here at our office. And so there's handouts in there. And I want you to bring this with the handouts. And I'm going to need the math worksheets that you were given that are a part of this handout or that you completed online. I'm going to need those. You can email them to me if you want. You can get them to me however, but it's part of the homework. It's part of what allows you to be able to just come to class for the 6 days instead of for the 15 days. So all those homework assignments, I need to be able to see that they're completed. So you need to bring this with you. And then I'm also going to give you more things to put in here. For instance, the first day that you'll come to class, we'll have about an hour's worth that morning of orientation, so you'll get a handout right off the bat, and we'll go through that, so you'll have something to put in here. Plus, starting at 9 that first morning, we'll talk about license law. And like all the chapters so far you've got handouts for, you'll get a packet of handouts for the PowerPoint for license law. And so you'll have other ones throughout the rest of the course that you'll need to bring this with you. And then the other thing, the third and final thing, is this ProEd supplement guide that you have received. Now, so really all that you've used this for is for our discussion in Chapter 2 on settlement, and then settlement statement problem 102-1, 102-2, and 102-3. Because I said and stressed in 102-3 in the Math and Settlement tab, you can view that I stress that you do not do 102-4. We're going to do that together as a group. I think it's either Wednesday or Thursday afternoon we're going to go through that and work on that together as a group. So don't do that before you come to class. And so I'm going to need to make sure that you've completed those. When you come, of course, the loose leaf handouts and the homework packet I'll take from you and throughout the day. Either myself or my assistant will make sure that everything's been completed. But it may not be till the next day. Either way, we'll get you back what you need for class, so don't worry about that. And then lastly, before I end this introduction video, I want to thank you. It really means a lot to me that you're choosing ProEd, and also that you've been patient enough with us throughout this online course and to help give advice, or we can improve, and your questions are greatly needed, and we appreciate that. So thank you again for choosing ProEd, and good luck.